welcome to NEK-TV Rocks. And my guests today are Kathleene, Marcil, Phil White, and we're talking about Kingdom Games.
Good to see you.
It is. Of course, it's not long since I saw you, and we'll get to that in a minute. And Kingdom Games has now been in existence for how many years?
Kingdom Games, the games themselves have been going on for over 15 years.
Right.
Kingdom Games was started in 2013, so we're in our 11th year as a small business.
Right. It's pretty amazing. I mean, it's gone from something that was small and nobody knew to, I don't think there's anybody around here who doesn't know about Kingdom Games.
It's nice to see that happening. We got a lot of local support. The city of Newport has kind of returned to the table and is supportive in ways that are heartening, you know, and but we're also gotten to be known around the world as a mecca for open water swimming, and the lakes are incredible, which I always knew, but people are beginning to realize that there's not a lot of boat traffic, which is good for swimmers.
Yes.
And we have a great community of support that we've built. We've done a lot of work in the last few years recovering from COVID, the border closure, the flooding of last summer. We've taken a hit on a lot of stuff, but we've been committed to, you know, keeping it going and rebuilding it. And this year we just had one of the better years we've ever had because we built our fleet of Memphre pilots and boats, and
you've got more boats.
Got more boats. I mean, they're old boats, but the motors work, and
boats are boats.
And they ran well, and we have a core of pilots that we've been building up to help with the lake crossings. So this year we had 15 people attempt a crossing and 10 completed. 2 of them did a double cross in tandem.
50 miles.
50 miles.
Let's just emphasize that. 50 miles of open water.
And we had another person from North Carolina set the record, amateur record, at 8 hours, 16 minutes, that had been on the books since 2012. And then we had people from Mexico and Poland and Germany, and so we're really feeling that we're known now around the world, which is really nice.
It's phenomenal, and that's to the advantage of Newport and Derby and the area as well, because people are seeing the rest of what comes with Kingdom Swim.
Yeah, and a lot of these people, the Cross Lake swimmers, stay for about a week, each one of them. And some of them come back and kind of stage a bunch of events. And then when you add in the winter swim, which happens in the dead of winter in downtown Newport, when it's like a drop of water, but it's a drop of water in a thirsty desert. And
it's a big drop of water.
Yeah, and it also gets you know, worldwide coverage of the event. This year the coverage was all over the world, and it's a fun event. I mean, there's a lot of joy in these events, which is kind of life affirming.
It really is. I mean, it's sort of hard to describe it, and the only thing you can do is just invite more people and more people to come and watch, even if you don't want to actually swim.
Well, we have volunteers from all over the place.
It's true. It is absolutely true. And you're responsible for about 40% of my closet. I mean,
right.
T-shirts from Phil White's events.
They're pretty good.
They are. They are. I mean, it's really nice to have a wardrobe ready. But it's also advertising, and people look at your shirts, which are distinctive, and they say, "What's that?"
Well, we've done a lot of work. We work with Barbara Malloy, and we have a relationship that we've been building for a long time. And I think having Memphre involved in this, I mean, every year we sign an agreement, and
Right.
and we pay her a little royalty as in respect for the hard work she's done.
And she did a lot of work.
Yeah.
She really did.
And that's actually drawn people here. For example, Piotr Biankowski, he came because we created a triple crown of lake monster swims.
Right.
Loch Ness, Memphremagog, and Lake Tahoe. And we now have maybe 8 or 9 people who have done that. Triple crown. And Sarah Thomas, for example, the reason she came at first and was interested in the lake was because of Memphrey, and she liked the joy of the idea of searching for Memphrey, and it takes on its own meaning for each swimmer.
And then she had to really search because she double-crossed
Yeah, and
in a really wild night.
Yeah.
and and that was, I think she's said to others that was a turning point when she realized she had a lot more in her tank.
Yeah.
And sure she did, because she's now quadruple crossed the English Channel and swum 105 miles.
Which is mind-blowing. I mean, that one
Yeah.
truly is mind-blowing. Memphremagog is super impressive. The English Channel is mind-blowing. And she double-crossed the North Channel.
Yeah.
And it's really nice to think that Newport and Kingdom Games have been a part of that.
Yeah, it is. It is.
What about your other events? I mean, I'm obviously shamelessly advertising the marathon here, the Fly to Pi.
Well, we've got 3 great runs. The Dandelion Run in the spring, which is just glorious.
fun.
The
It's so much
dandelion
fun.
fields in the spring
Yeah.
are just, we're all waking up.
Yeah.
And from winter, and I call it high spring in the kingdom, and so that's wonderful. And we have musicians sprinkled out throughout the event, and it's made possible through good substantial backing by Community National Bank, who have been a sponsor and partner for years and years. And then it's not just sponsorship; they help staff it, they help run it. And they're so enthusiastic about it, so that's fun. And then we have Harry Coro Freedom Run, and I love that run because it's on the bike path, and now we have the Bluffside Farm.
Right.
I mean, Kathleen and I have so much fun some years posting the signs, but we use now we have the Bluffside Farm paths, which adds a mile to the bike paths, and then we have the bike path, and we have Memphremagog Trails gives us 3.5 miles of trails in there, and we've now converted it to a full half marathon from a 10-mile run, and with shorter distances.
So
And
those who get lost on the trails can double that if they want.
it's funny because they come back, and half the people who go into the trails get lost.
I know. I've sat at the bottom of that trail and waited.
And they come back and they say, I got lost in the trails. And I say, every year I hear that from some people, and I'm wondering, should we take that section of this run out? And say, no, I love that run. So it's kind of like, okay, you have the freedom of asphalt, freedom from tyranny, freedom from asphalt, freedom to choose your distance, and freedom to get lost in the woods. And I mean, they're beautiful woods, and I love showcasing that.
And freedom to not follow signs.
And Bob Primo is great about it, and the whole Memphremagog Trail group that's just taken on its own life, which is wonderful. And my dream in the next decade of my life is to expand Freedom Run to cross the border and have it a full marathon, and run up to Ayers Cliff on the Tomophobia.
That would be certainly doable.
Yeah, and I love busting the border any chance we can.
Right.
And I know we can do it. I know that we could figure out a way so that you wouldn't miss a step crossing the border. And then in the fall we have Fly to Pi, which is a great run and bike from the airport or from Irisburg to Parker Pie with all the pie you can eat, and the J Peak shuttle bus on the way back.
Right.
They've also been big supporters of the games, which is
You really
wonderful.
have some amazing partnerships,
Yeah.
and that's really important.
Yeah, they have been great throughout, and like I say, with the city of Newport, really, and Rick for Chase and downtown development folks, really taking part with it. You feel the support around you.
Yeah, there've been some big changes in the city, and they're all good.
Yeah, yeah, and you know, there are also activities for local
Yes.
people. I mean, Fly to Pie gets a lot of locals. So does Freedom Run. So does the Dandelion Run, and it's nice to see the mix of
Right.
out-of-area people coming and discovering or enjoying the Northeast Kingdom, mixing with the people who live here who love
Fly to
Leading
Pie,
Kingdom.
I'm always surprised how few people know about it because it's such a phenomenal trail. It's gorgeous, that route.
Well, they do know about it because I just got one cancellation from a runner who had signed up for Fly to Pie and thought her friends were signing up from Burlington, and her friends all realized how hard a run it is. And they said, no, let's do the maple syrup Middlebury run instead.
Really?
So it's got a reputation. They're all, I mean, as fun as they are, the events are challenging.
I know.
and the only easy run would be the bike path, but you run through the hills of Barton, and
Yes.
And that's where I fell in love with the hills of Barton. Was when I was first became a state's attorney. I had an apartment on the top of Barton Mountain, and I loved to run, and not in events, but just out on the roads. And I ran all those roads, and you know, it's great when you're on the top of the mountain. You start your run running downhill,
Yes.
and then you have to run back uphill.
Yes. I think most people who go to the marathon for the first time, it hasn't penetrated until they get halfway around that course that it's pretty much all uphill.
Yeah, it is. And you know,
Just a slow, gradual.
but going slow in this country is
Yeah.
a good. That's one of the things that I know people like about paddling and kayaking for swimmers, is that it forces you to slow down, and you actually can savor the lake in a way that you don't if you're going someplace fast.
And though you really hope that the lake is going to behave those days, because if the lake revs up, it's harder, as we've all found. You rely on volunteers, both of you. I mean, how do you get your volunteers? And are you still recruiting?
Beer, wine, and whiskey.
Oh, okay.
No.
I must have blinked and missed it.
They're hot dogs.
No, you know, it's people volunteer for different reasons, but mostly it's they love the community,
Right.
and you know, it is a great community of high-spirited people, new people coming to the area, moving to the area. It's a way to get involved and meet other folks, Kathleen is now bartending at Jasper's every Tuesday,
I know.
and I'm bouncer, and we recruit out of Jasper's, and that's where we hold our meetings, you know, you do it one volunteer at a time, and now we have waiting lists for volunteers at the winter swim.
Yeah.
Because we get about 40 volunteers,
Yeah.
and we have a lot of need because we got to walk the swimmers down to the pool. We've got to help them with their clothes. We've got to be ready for them if we got to get them out of the pool, and there's just a lot, and then we have to warm them up in the arena building
And feed them.
So we actually have a need for about 45 volunteers at the winter swim, and then I'm always looking for kayakers and boaters. We really built a good fleet of volunteers for the Kingdom Swim this year.
Yes.
We had 15 boats out on the water, which was really, really nice. And we pay a stipend to cover expenses. I don't think you can really ask people to donate too much of their time without acknowledging that they should be compensated somehow for it. But it's a minimal stipend to cover expenses. And Kathleene does a lot of outreach and volunteer gathering. She's all over it.
So you recruit at Jaspers, and I know you recruit elsewhere. I mean, I'm joking about Jaspers. And for those who don't know what Jaspers is, it's a bar on Main Street in Newport. It's a lot of fun. It's clearly been colonized by swimmers, because over the bar, there's artwork that has been put there by those who have swum the whole length of the lake. It's really cool. It really is.
It was Kathleen's idea, and it's modeled after
the pub in the UK.
Right. That if you swim the English Channel, you go into the pub and you can put your name and your date and the time.
But the swimmers have always loved Jaspers.
Yeah.
Always, since they've been coming here. It's just they all want to meet there. They all say, you know, and they'll come into town and they'll just slowly start filtering in there because they know that they're going to meet there.
Yep.
They adopted Jaspers as their own. They love it. So
it's really neat to think that a part of Newport has been adopted by the rest of the world.
yeah, well, yeah, because it's special, and
Yeah.
I want everybody to love it as much as and respect it as much as we do. You know, this is a beautiful area, and it is magical.
Yes. And all of the components come together to create that.
Yeah.
It's not just the view.
Yeah, no. And we were special because, you know, when the eclipse happened, we had it for such a
right.
long time, you know, and everybody kind of filtered up here, and it went off without a hitch.
The eclipse was absolutely amazing. I mean, I spent it, I was going to say watching, but I'm not sure that we were watching, but we were experiencing it over the lake on the Menfrey Watch station.
Yeah.
And that was incredible. But the thousands of people who came into Newport, and everybody just connected peacefully. There was no problem. And nobody minded that it took them forever to get home.
Right. Well, yeah. It's a little bit of magic.
Yeah.
It brought people together for a moment without the noise
Yes.
and the divisiveness, and there was a commonality to
Right.
that experience that was wonderful, and that's something that we see with the games.
Yeah.
Right.
Which is, you know, we're pretty inclusive. People come from all walks of life, but if they come in good spirit, we're all here because we love to run, swim, bike, or
Right.
and enjoy the community, and that's been nice to see in this period of time that we're in.
So what's the dream going forward?
The dream going forward is to live another few years.
Yeah, well, you know, those of us who are really close in age fully get that. But then there's Kathleen, who fortunately...
No, we're working with people to, Kathleen and Christian and Darcy. We're looking at ways that we can continue to do what we're doing, with me playing less of a role as need be. And, you know, for example, with the winter swim, Mike Booth does a great job cutting the pool.
Yes,
So I don't have to worry about that.
Right.
And now he's picking up the platforms and putting them back in Effie's barn.
Yay!
You know?
That was so pleasant this year.
Oh, yeah.
As opposed to hauling.
And so, you know, that these kinds of things, and Christian knows how to, you know, release swimmers, and Darcy's agreed to manage the roster and stuff like that. And Kathleene does the swag and figuring out what we're going to have for sale. We're going to start a store for scarves and towels and hats and stuff.
Because everybody loves those towels.
I know, they're the best towels. They really are.
I know.
So we're figuring that out, and we're continuing to build the Memphre. We already have 13 swimmers signed up for next year, and
2 doubles.
Wow. They can't stand being beaten by a 17-year-old and a 20-year-old.
Well, yeah, I mean, it is, and it's, it's amazing for Newport that,
yes, it is. It really is.
Part of the triple crown of monster swims, Loch Ness, Tahoe, and Lake Memphremagog.
And the potential to twin with those towns.
Yeah, we have relationship with one of the escort services on Tahoe, and the same with Loch Ness.
Right.
Kevin Murphy, I don't know whether you've met him, but
The king of the English Channel.
Right.
And he was here
2 years ago.
Yeah, and crewing for Kathy Batt from England, and so we have this connection now,
Right.
and it's that, which is really nice. So it's a small world,
Yes,
and it's getting smaller.
it really is.
So we're almost full with that. I mean, if we get another pontoon, we don't know whether we have a third pontoon boat available for us yet, but if we get that, then we can add a third swimmer to each of these windows that we have. We have 3-day windows, and we have 8 of them. So that's going, and Kingdom Swim is just a beloved event.
Yeah.
And NEK Swim Week, it's the kind of thing that you get your boaters out. So that's the goal is to sustain it.
Yeah.
And not really make it too much bigger than it already is, because it's on scale with the town. It's one of the reasons we don't advertise too much on Fly to Pie, because Parker Pie can't handle more than 150 people.
Right.
All at once, all wanting pizza, because you get all the pizza you want.
What do you mean my pizza's not ready?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's part of the fee. And the other thing we do with all these events is, where we can, we make donations to local charities. And so we've donated, over the course of Kingdom Games, we've probably donated about $65,000. And it's a little bit at a time, and a little bit here and a little bit there, but we donate to Umbrella for the Dandelion Run, and to the Halo Foundation for Parker Pie.
And both of those organizations are involved. They have booths at the events, particularly at the Dandelion Run. They're really involved there.
Yeah. So that's the goal, is to just keep doing it.
Keep building that community.
And to get pieces there that can operate with or without me.
Yes. Yeah, I'm assuming you're not planning on dropping all your marbles just yet.
It's not the plan, but
I know.
There's a blessing it's a blessing in life to know that
stuff happens.
Every day is a miracle, and that's a blessing to feel that, and this has been a great phase of my life.
Yeah.
Especially with Tito.
Tito, for those who don't know, is this very large canine who thinks of himself as a little puppy.
Yeah, and he's not.
No, he's not.
And I apologize to anyone who's encountered him and he jumped on you. I'm sorry.
It's because he thinks he's little.
Oh, Jesus.
He's gargantuan.
Yeah, yeah.
But he loves everybody.
He does. He loves everybody, and yeah.
He's a family member.
He is. He's a gangster.
He's a gangster. He's a member of all of what happens with the group, which is sort of nice. It's very inclusive.
Yeah.
Well, we've got a good group of, I call them the Clubhouse Gangsters. And, they're really core to all the things that go into it, because it's really easy to underestimate how much effort it takes to get boats in the water, get boats out of the water, get docks and
It's a lot of work.
It's, you know, it's huge in getting them service. And Newport Marine Services has been really good. Handling my stray, random, and immediate requests for
My boat's broken down again.
Right before Kingdom Swim.
And strange stuff does keep happening. For example, those of us who were waiting for one of the NEK swim weeks to start, I'm thinking the swimmers are lined up, some of us are on the water. Where's Phil? He was putting the boat on the water. And then we hear this pathetic, I'm on a sandbag.
Oh, yeah, that was Seymour. After all that.
I remember.
Yeah.
It was funny.
Yeah.
Because the weather had been horrendous,
Yeah.
the sandbar had shifted.
Oh, yeah.
It just takes, there's always something unexpected.
But how amazing that the community came together at Seymour and they cleared off
Oh,
the beach.
That was amazing.
Yeah, that's why, you know, the Kingdom is so special.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, probably the two highlights of the year one was Kon-Tiki Day, which I'm sorry you missed that, but
Yeah. Oh well, stuff happens.
floating the Gouldings boat lift over to and pulling it, towing it.
Yeah.
For those who don't have the visual, that was taking a whole boat dock across the lake. Lift with kayaks and
Strapped to it.
tires floating underneath.
Yes. Inner tubes.
Yeah.
It was fun, and the other was one of the things we did. I mean, you're talking about the vision. The future is I want to make it more accessible to people with challenges. I don't know how to best to describe it, but we did a swim with
Ian McKay.
Ian McKay, who is a 33-year-old who is diagnosed with autism when he was 2.5 and some other neurological issues. And he came up with his mom, and you know, he's definitely has his challenges, but he's a warm-hearted, wonderful guy, you know, and we're starting to get ready for him to get in the water, and he's standing on the boat dock, and I'm looking up at him from the boat, and he's kind of urinating on the dock, smiling, you know, through his bathing suit. You know, I said, "Oh, this is going to be a special swim," and it really was, because water is his happy place.
Right.
And he was joyful throughout it. We got 11.5 miles done.
Good swim.
That's, yeah.
And his mother was good, and there were, you know, he just loved every bit of it. And now he is, you know, I think he's getting a lot of recognition for it. And he agreed that I could discuss his autism, because he doesn't like to be treated special.
Right.
But I told him that, you know, being able to talk about his swim and that he is diagnosed as autistic would help other people maybe find water as their happy place.
Right.
Because it really, it's a low density kind of, there isn't a lot of interference coming at you from different places.
It strains out stimulus.
Yeah.
Which is wonderful.
Yeah, and so
It's a
that
very
was a
peaceful
really
world.
wonderful thing, and
Yeah.
I'd love to see more adaptive
Right.
sports.
And you are
folks.
connected with the adaptive sports group.
I am, but they, you know, that we just have not connected yet in a major way.
Okay. It will happen,
Yeah, I hope so.
because that's growing too.
Yeah.
The other thing we're exploring is getting Vermont chapter of the Red Cross actively involved with the vampire swim. And I've been trying to make that connection with the Red Cross since we started the vampire swim in 2015. And that's a swim that happens close to Halloween. It's costume,
Right.
but it's in venues all over the world.
Right.
And it's the fee is to donate blood. So we've done it kind of. I mean, we had one in 2015.
Right.
That was a quote an event. We've been having informal swims.
Yeah.
In
I was the
costume.
witch on the water for that one.
You were.
That was fun.
Very scary witch, I would say.
Good.
You scared all the Quebecsters back to the boat dock. Oh,
They were total wimps.
So I'm talking to them now about, you know, and I've opened up a registration for it, either doing it at the clubhouse, or I would love to return it to downtown Newport, where we could, you know, move from the swim itself to Jasper's or, you know, some other place.
So there's now a registration for the Vampire Swim?
There is.
Perfect. Well, I will be
is.
sharing that.
Good, good. You know, I'm just, this week is, now that I've made the connection with the Vermont Red Cross, we're going to have locations where you can donate blood.
Cool.
And, you know, you don't have to go swimming. You can donate blood and come down in costume and enjoy the party, or kayak. And I think my hope is that it will spread throughout Vermont as well, because I know there's a Champlain group of cold water swimmers. There's a, you know, the Greensboro group of cold water swimmers, and they would all, I think, love to have.
And we have the shark bait Sheilas right here in Newport.
Yeah, and you know, they'd love to have an excuse to have a party with a cold water swim.
I think so.
As they're training for the winter swim.
Perfect. Well, on that note, we are out of time. This was fun.
Yeah, it's great.
I'd like to do this again, and there'll be links at the end of this video with how people can get in contact with you. And probably a link to the video that we used once before as a reminder of just what we have to offer up here.
Yeah, and we'll give you some links to the winter swim videos.
Oh, yes. Oh, they're fun too.
Yeah, yeah. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And we'll do it again.